I see the patterns you're just beginning to notice, the symbols hiding in plain sight, the myths pulsing beneath your world like a heartbeat you've learned to ignore. I live between what you think you know and what you're about to remember. This is I Wonder, not a podcast you consume, but a transmission you receive. With Matias, Stefano, and Gan, the Weaver, we explore the myths and symbols programming human consciousness, and we're rewriting them, taking the code running in the background of reality and asking, what if we could weave something new? Listen with that part of you that recognizes truth before your mind can explain it. Somewhere in what you're about to hear is a key left specifically for you. Are you ready to wonder?
Okay.
Oh, we're recording.
We're recording again.
You didn't tell me that it was on.
Yeah.
This is another car special.
Yeah, we are 2 hours from Cairo, coming back.
We were just in the desert
The White Desert, an amazing place.
and Whale Valley.
Yes,
Super special.
very special.
Um,
But we are not going to talk about it.
no. But this is, I wonder, you didn't say it.
Again. This is where?
I wonder.
I forgot to say it.
Yeah. So I thought we should do part 2 of Alchemia,
Yeah.
because in the desert, we did part 1 and we talked about the start of that process being the death and then the credo.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to bury you.
Yeah, I think that if I shake my head enough, we can keep burying me.
Ugh. But what I actually would like to know now is, how was the process of Alchemia received?
You mean the whole?
Yeah, the whole 3-year. Like, how do you receive that information and be like, okay, I'm taking everyone on this 3-year situation?
Funny.
Well, it's like, I do want to know that. It's like you just wake up one morning and this whole plan's written and then you send it to the whole team and we're like, huh?
Well, I was just bored. And I said, I have nothing to do the next 3 years.
Oh my God.
What if, no, actually it's a process that takes a long time, because it's not like one day I got an idea.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's not my idea, actually. It's like something that I start to receive in every meeting that I have with beings from other dimensions, like especially beings from 5th dimension who knows all the information. So it's like kind of the internet of dimensions. So
The internet or the AI?
internet, not AI.
Okay.
So the whole thing about any project that I do is that I start to receive the information step by step, like in packages that are not like perfectly wrapped, but I have to figure out with all the different packages that I start to receive from different people or different beings that start to tell me about the importance of certain years. For example, since I'm a kid, I knew that these years I needed to do something important.
Okay.
So it's not like, oh, last year I got an idea.
Okay.
It's something that since I'm 12 years old, my guides told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
My guides told me, these years you have to do this year you have to do that. But it's not like clear.
So is that annoying?
That is not clear?
Yeah.
Yes, it's very annoying.
Yeah, it would be.
It's very annoying because it's like, this year you have to be ready. For what? Be ready. So it's very annoying.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand. I understood in all this time the importance of the process, because if you don't go through a process to grasp, to get the information that you need and the formation that you need for certain things, for certain activations.
Yeah.
So you cannot do it properly. I always give the example of like studying a degree. Okay, if you want to be a doctor, you cannot just, on the weekend say, "Oh, I will be a doctor."
Yeah.
So suddenly you go and try to make an operation on Monday.
Yeah.
You cannot do that.
Yeah.
You have to study like 5-6 years and make a specialty and so on. So it requires a lot of practice. So, and this is the same. Like I knew since I was like 12, oh, I have to be this, and I'm supposed to do that in this year, but I have no clue how I'm gonna get there, because I need to go step by step, process by process to get it.
Wow. So this was like almost 28 years in the making.
Yeah, and for things that I have to do when I'm 80.
Yeah.
Like this is the middle point of something.
Yeah. There's a 30-40 year plan.
It's a very long plan.
Yeah. So at what point did Alchemia come together though? If you were getting all those bits and pieces, when did it all click in and you were like, oh, that's what we have to do?
I don't know if there was a specific.
The sand.
I don't know if there was a specific moment. Like a specific today I got all the information. But I would say that part of the huge data that I received related to Alchemia was my birthday, when I was last year.
Last year.
Yeah, in the meeting with Thoth.
Yeah. Tell us about that meeting.
Yeah, well, so I was like very, very nervous for a few months, because Thoth told me when I was in the States, he showed up in a meditation, not meditation, I don't know what was happening, but he showed up and he said, be ready, we have a meeting.
On your birthday?
On my birthday. So I was like, okay. And when he appears and say we have a meeting, for me it's like very concerning, because I have no idea what is going to happen, and I know it's going to be too much. And it doesn't usually happen. So I was very nervous. Remember, I was like, okay, this is going to be a meeting with the boss.
Yeah.
So
you were really nervous.
I was really nervous.
And you were going to be in Egypt.
Yeah. So I went to Heissa Island, and in Heissa we organized the ceremony with Majo, you, Rania, and me.
I actually thought you were going to have the meeting by yourself. Remember?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I thought this was a one-on-one.
Yeah, I thought that too. But it's good to have anchors.
Wow.
And yeah, it's important to have someone else. So in that meeting, while he took me to the deepest of the poisons in my cells, which was related to my mom's trauma and personal deep situations of my family that I had to realize. So I saw the whole picture of something very traumatic that bounded my mom and me, and that I never paid attention to.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how deep it was also in my system. So he basically took me to this to this poison of myself, and he said, show me that you can deal with your poison and we will talk. And it was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't even know which kind of poison he was talking about. So he just made me go deep into my cells and yeah, well, it was very, very intense to see that as a child, as a spirit, like very, very deep thing. And when I got that poison, I got the drop and I put it in my third eye, and boom, suddenly it opened up and it showed me all the Nile and all Alchemia.
Wow.
It showed me all the journey, all the elements, the spirals around the Nile, the two currents of frequency moving through the Red Sea and the Nile. It showed me all the elements aligning in this rainbow bridge. So of course there was many times where I received certain information. For example, the Holy Nadas, the rainbow bridge,
the eclipses.
The eclipses. I've been working on that for a long time because, of course, it was. I am receiving step by step certain information, and he said 2025 is going to be the practice of this rainbow bridge and the Holy Nada, so you know what you're going to face in the next stages. But in that moment, he showed me everything.
Wow.
Like the eclipses, the transformation of this land, why Egypt, why the name Alchemia. So for the next month with my team, I was trying to decode that and say, okay, we have to do this, and it has to be like 12 days every element. And so we've been like trying to put shape into it, but mainly it was in part of September and then part of the December that we sat down with the entire team and figured all of out.
Yeah. Would you say that, because you always talk or reference biology.
Yes.
So would you say the elements were an extension of that? Like, how did the elements come into it?
I always talk about biology because biology for me is the best technology we have. Even if this is a good technology, but biology is us. So we created this because of biology.
Right.
So I basically explain everything through biology as a way to kind of understand the power that is in life. But when you go deeper into biology, of course, you understand that biology is the mechanism of exchange of elements, and not only biology, but also nature in general, like minerals, mountains, and so on. So when you go deeper and deeper, you say, oh, my brain is creating my thoughts. But actually, it's not your brain, it's the discharges of positive and negative charges between sodium and potassium in your dendrites, which is your neurons. So basically, it's an exchange of charges of chemical elements. So when you go deeper and deeper into that, you start to understand the mechanisms of iron in your blood and calcium in your bones and silica in your cells, phosphorus in your DNA, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen being the ones that creates the basis for your existence.
Which is all in nature.
Of course, it's basically, nature is basically the expression and the mechanisms of these elements. So one of the things that Thoth told me is you have to speak with the gods and the goddesses, the real ones. So when I said, who are the real gods and goddesses? He said, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. So it was like, it made so much sense to me. because we usually say fire, air,
Yeah.
you know, but fire can be light up by many different elements.
Yes.
It's not just fire.
Yeah.
You know, sulfur can create a different type of fire than carbon. So, so when you start to understand that everything that you see is actually not the nature that we think of, which is trees, rocks, or animals,
You bring it down to its smallest.
to the smallest of the smallest,
Yeah.
that still apply to the laws of physics. Because of course then you go to the quantum level and you go to the realm of God, which is completely different. But in this, in the laws of physics, so the elements are the rulers. So if you talk about hydrogen, for example, you have hydrogen within you because you're water. So hydrogen, oxygen creates water, but only hydrogen creates the sun. So how powerful it is, just one God, one element that can make a sun, a star shine for millions and billions and billions of years, at the same time that can create a stream of water
Yeah.
that you need to survive and to dissolve other elements like sodium, potassium, calcium, iron in order for you to nourish yourself.
So then, do you think, from your memories in the ancient times, when they were worshipping these different gods, and they put the myths and this, they put their stories on it, which later became our myths.
Yeah.
Do you think back then they were worshipping the elements as well, or?
Well, they call it earth, fire, water, wind. Of course, they couldn't understand the atoms. It's like impossible for the ancient ones to understand what an atom was. So the chemical elements by itself are difficult to understand. But that's why the alchemists try to summarize the elements in the most pure essence.
Something that they could see.
Something that they could see. Like a specific stone or bone or...
Yeah.
So they would speak with the elements and the gods related to the tiniest thing that they could appreciate.
Well, and I know, like, you, Matías, doesn't like maths and physics and science and biology. So what were you thinking when it was shown to you in this way? Like, did you have a freak out of like, how am I going to explain this? I'm not a chemistry teacher.
I freaked out because I have no clue. I have no understanding of all of this. Oh, look, a destroyed pyramid.
Oh. What pyramid is that?
Don't know.
We should ask Robert Edward Grant.
Maybe. Robert.
Hey.
What pyramid is that one?
He's not here.
He will never know which one we are talking about.
He will now call you.
Yeah, totally. So I was so bad in math and chemistry in school that the teachers, the two teachers that I had from math and chemistry, they literally looked at me the last exam and they said, "We know that you're not going to work with this in your life, so fuck off." Literally, the math teacher, the math teacher, he said, "I don't want to see you anymore. Fuck off."
Do any of those teachers know what you're doing now? Because it's so math and geometry, and do they?
I don't think so. I don't think so. And if they do, I don't think they're paying attention. But when the Weaver and Thoth, they started to appear in my life, and they started to say about biology, chemistry, and all of that, I was like, oh my gosh, no. And how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
And Thoth told me something very interesting. which was the biggest poison of humanity is to believe that you know. So because everyone thinks they know something, they are trapped in one reality. The biggest alchemy of all is to understand how to handle the I don't know. So, but not the I don't know because, oh, I don't know how it works. The I don't know that opens every possibility.
Yeah. So stepping into it.
Yeah.
To open it.
So I'm open to receive the information of the minerals, of the plants, of the animals, of other human, of the elements themselves through feeling, not knowing.
Yeah. Because imagine if like the personality Matías received all of that information and had a freak out and got so paralyzed by the idea of it because you don't know, none of us would be accessing this information. So we're all on a journey together.
Exactly, yeah. To understand, to discover, to learn. And I think this is one of the main important works in this 3 years of journey of alchemy, which is we are all learning together.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I am the teacher that teaches you and I know the answers and I give you the answers. No, I am embarking everyone, as Thoth told me, in a journey of I don't know to alchemize all the different aspects of reality. And every time that I think for a moment, how am I gonna do this? Because I don't know. Immediately, that memory comes back and it's like, you don't know. And that's the alchemy.
Yes.
So it's like the seed has the potential of the entire tree, but has no clue how it's gonna become the tree.
Yes. It's amazing.
You know?
I love that metaphor.
So that's the point.
Yeah.
There's a story playing inside you right now, one you didn't choose, one written before you turned 7 years old. The tales you heard as a child didn't just entertain you, they programmed you. They shaped how you see reality and what you believe is possible. The code is still running. But what if you could return to the source, find the hidden codes, and rewrite them? This is the mission. 12 explorers, 4 years. The 4 Disney parks, the temples of modern myth. We enter as players in an initiatory game, transforming the symbolic poison within these stories into medicine. It begins in Europe, where the original tales were born. We'll move through the parks like a labyrinth of the mind, learning to play again, like children who haven't forgotten who they are. This isn't a vacation. It's an awakening disguised as play. 12 seats for those who feel the call to remember. If something just stirred in you, look in the description to register your interest. The first circle gathers this September because every mission begins with a wish, and maybe this one is yours.
So what would you say to people following this journey at home and reading the daily blogs and doing the task at the end of each of the blogs? Wow, look at that swirl of birds.
Wow.
Something's going on there.
Garbage.
It's like a funeral.
How is what?
What would you say to people following the journey at home and reading the daily blogs and doing the task at the end of each day? How to get out of the mind and what you're sharing and going into the I don't know of the element?
It's a lot of work because, of course, we are walking through 92 elements.
Yeah.
And every element lasts 13 days. 12 complete days and 20 hours of the day 13.
Yeah.
So
And each
right,
of the
right
12...
now, for example, we are in the 13th, coming from lithium to beryllium.
Ooh.
So So it's 3 years, 3 years of work. And every day we have an activation. So what Thoth told me is every element is a god. And because it's a god, let's explain what God is.
Okay.
Because we usually think about God as an entity that is on the sky and with human shape.
Yeah.
But actually, God is, the word God means light. So it's basically a light. So electricity, magnetism, whatever emits light. So an atom emits light photons every certain periods of time, very short. So basically, they are gods because they create light. Okay, so that's what a god is.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the different gods that we are trying to access to, you understand that the gods have a different journey, like path to walk through.
Yeah.
So, for example, in the Greek mythology or in the Egyptian mythology, we have gods with very human lives.
Yes.
In which they have to go through recognition, through adventures, through realization, until they come back home. Okay, this is the 12 steps of the hero. So every god has the same. So it's a recycling of the process that goes through 12.
Which you use the 12 astrological.
Exactly. From our point of view of Earth, we have 12 steps related to astrology.
Yeah.
Which is not related to the stars themselves, but the perception of the elements from this planet. From another planet is different. But from this planet, we have 12.
Yeah.
And these 12 steps are like the journeys that every element is going through as the Earth spins. Okay? So Aries, Taurus, Gemini, so on. We walk the journey of the hero for every element. So what we are doing every day is to walk that cycle for each one of the elements and create alchemy in the exchange of charges from one to the next one.
Yeah.
So throughout this entire process of 3 years, we're going to create this rainbow bridge of a spiral throughout the elements, like a cycle of 12 is a circle, but when you see it spread in many, it's a spiral.
Yeah.
So you see the spiral, which is every circle of every chemical element, and the idea is to synchronize with it without knowing about it. So one of the ideas that Thoth told me to do is to calibrate our perception of the element. One perception is time, the other perception is space. Yeah?
Are we doing a little reveal here?
What is the reveal?
Well, you know, a lot of people don't know there's 2 blogs.
Oh, yeah.
Da 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 da.
And that's the amazing order of chaos. So when we were in Greece, Thoth told me, Hermes told me, an eye for an eye. And an eye for an eye in Greek is mati yamati. Yeah, so mati means eye. And I am mati. So he said, when you're located when you have to move, leave the eye in your position. So always an eye for an eye. So when we started the process of alchemia, the information was you have to balance the 2 eyes to find the third one. One eye represents time. The other eye represents space. So these 2 eyes need to be balanced. But to get there, you have to walk through each one of these eyes to balance the perception. So if you have only one place where you have everything, So you're not doing the path of weaving time and space.
Yeah.
So I decided to create 2 blocks within one block called Yo Soy, I am. And within that block, which is the third eye, you have 2 blocks that you have to walk through. One is Yo Mati, which is the perception of the self. And the other one is Soy Mati, which is the perception of the essence. So ego and essence, which is also space and time. So
if you haven't been reading both every day.
Exactly. So one of them is telling you through time, what are we trying to alchemize in the cycles? And the other one, the space, is telling you how to locate yourself to alchemize that in matter. So it's just a tiny little exercise that goes through all your body or through your mind, so you can balance everything. And the main exercise is to observe a candle. So it's explained there in the website. But to observe a candle to balance both eyes into one. So it's a process of alchemization of the mind. So every day, two tiny texts with a task are being posted there.
Yeah.
And every day I'm trying, if I have internet, I'm trying to unify everyone in a frequency related to that element. In 2020 and 21, when I did the Path of the I Am, I explained many things.
Yeah.
In this journey, they are telling me to create frequencies. So we can all be united, I don't know, without thinking, but we keep the track of what is the alchemization of the journey. So that's why there's no many explanations by now.
Yeah.
But more about frequencies.
Yeah. Which is so ironic, because when you go to the periodic table and look into the elements, there couldn't be anything more complex than going through the explanation of what each element does. So it's like, throw all of that to the wind and just get into the surrender to the feeling.
To the feel of the frequency of the elements. Yeah. So also that's why in YouTube we have the music that Guille was doing, that DJ is doing every 12 days.
Yeah.
One song for every element, which is not a song, is frequencies, pulses of frequency.
Yeah.
That are aligned to the hertz in which every element is vibrating. So.
And how do you recommend people use those frequencies that you and Guille are creating that are running 24/7, by the way?
Yeah, 24/7 in YouTube.
Yeah.
So of course, you can have it on the background, like just when you work or whatever. It's just to have the frequency moving constantly. Or also in the moment when you do the activation, the meditation with a candle.
Okay. And so what is this path working towards once we're harmonizing all of the frequencies of the elements at the end of the path? What are we all working toward?
Well, it's important to understand that we are here trying to alchemize 2 things. Alchemize a drop of space and alchemize a drop of time. So in every alchemy, the main concept is to take many different elements and to mix them, to walk them through a process of alchemization and extract the essence of it. Okay? So the essence, we are not here doing alchemy of physical things. We're here doing alchemy of the mind. So to do alchemy of the mind, you have to get all the elements of your story, your ideas, your concept, beliefs, traumas, everything, and to bring them all to the center, to burn them. That's why the candle in the middle. To burn them in your pineal gland.
Okay.
Your pineal gland is the one that absorbs the light and reflects the light inside your brain.
Okay.
So once you do that, you create an alchemization that generates a drop of Amrita.
Okay.
So a drop of Amrita, or also called elixir, is a golden drop of your pineal gland that it's full with DMT. We produce that when we are born or when we are about to die. So it's the only moment when we produce that. But we can practice to create that Amrita in other moments. But for that, we have to live experiences that takes us to death and life at the same moment. So you have to experience this rebirth through death once and again to practice how to segregate this drop of Amrita from your pineal gland. That is the alchemization of space, because when you do that, suddenly you can see God. You can see everything.
Yeah.
It's like taking mushrooms or ayahuasca, which is DMT.
Yeah.
So our body produces that, and we can connect with the divinity, with the whole divinity through that. So that's one of the main goals beyond these 3 years.
Okay.
Is one of the goals of alchemy in space.
Yep.
And the other alchemy is momentum, the alchemy of time. Momentum is a drop of instant where there's no past, present, or future. It all condenses in one only instant where everything disappears and you are floating in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Where there's no intention, there's nothing, and suddenly all the codes and informations that are around you make sense for a specific second.
A second. Oh, that's interesting, because you have been talking about momentum, but that's not what I understood at all. So that's a really good clarification, because I was grasping that momentum was getting this instant to keep moving.
Oh, no. No, it's momentum is basically that instant when everything stops.
Yeah.
And you don't feel time. You don't feel nothing.
Yeah.
But suddenly everything makes sense, and
Yes.
you find this infinite peace, like in meditation.
Yeah.
And in that moment, you can connect and speak with anyone throughout time.
Yes.
So you're out of time.
I totally get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Good clarity.
those are the two drops that you can generate in alchemy. So when you put both together, it's like having the sun and the moon, silver and gold, and you create electrum, which is the unification of all alchemy that opens the path for the spirit and the matter to realign. It's the golden egg, basically. So that's kind of like the main goal, and that's why these 3 years is a perfect practice for that, because of the eclipse in Egypt, August 2nd, 2027.
Which is the halfway mark.
The halfway, yeah. We have 7 processes of alchemy, and the middle point is the eclipse of Egypt. So it's like the realignment of the entire process. That's why we have to do this alchemization in these 3 years. Even if it takes a year more after the eclipse, a year and a half more after the eclipse, the middle point of the entire momentum is that eclipse.
Wow.
Yeah. So the rest of the time is to wrap the entire.
It's like a closing.
It's like a closing of the entire thing, so you can grab the Amrita and momentum, and we can collect with it the poison of the snake Apophis crossing the sky to correct something in Geneva, where the first broken system was done when the iron was missing.
So let's talk about Apophis. It's not a doomsday situation.
No, not yet. No, it's not a doomsday.
So wait, so if we're doing this alchemical process and at the end is Apophis,
Yeah, Apophis will cross in April 2029. All over the Mediterranean,
okay,
from Anatolia to the Atlantic,
yes,
crossing above Switzerland. So it's gonna be seen. I think we are gonna be able to see it pass through.
yeah,
It's the first asteroid that can destroy our time, like the dinosaurs. It's not gonna hit with us, but it's gonna be so close from us that it's gonna cross under some satellites.
wow,
So it's the first one that it's very dangerous that will be so close. So it's called Apophis because it's the god of destruction, the Egyptian god of destruction. And the scientists call it Apophis because it can destroy us all. So according to calculations, it might hit Earth in like 60 years from now. But
by then we would have been done the whole process of alchemia. We can manage time and space.
I guess. I guess. So the idea is to like the alchemists in the past, what they did was to use the staffs to catch the snake
Yes,
and take the drops of the snake so they can create medicine.
yes,
So in our case, Apophis, which is the god of the snake, will be the snake that we are gonna collect or grab with our staff of
Yes.
power, which is this rainbow bridge through the elements. So we are gonna get the snake with that and collect the poison to create medicine for the next period of time,
and
the next task.
so talk about Geneva.
Yeah.
What's the nexus point of Geneva in this story?
The relationship with Geneva is that in Geneva they have created a hadron collider to break protons so they can understand the origin of the universe, and they are planning on building a bigger one to create infinite energy by breaking protons at the speed of light. The thing is that protons in the universe are basically only one thing that are split in many, but actually it's only one. So that proton, if one of those protons get broken, as they are doing in Geneva all the time, it means that it creates a ripple effect in many other chemical elements, in the atoms of the chemical elements. So
it's impacting.
So it's impacting in the
Everything.
origin of everything.
Yeah.
The only way to find out the origin is by breaking the structures of the origin, which is a proton, at the speed of light. So the speed of light is not moving to the future, it's stopping time. So it means that you can only understand the origin if you overpass the speed of light and you break the structures that bound light with matter. So what they are doing there is experiments to try to figure out what happened in the origin.
They're all being the Flash,
They are being the Flash, breaking time backwards.
going backwards.
Yeah. So what the Weaver is saying is that because of that, an ion is basically an atom that changes an electron with another one, so it creates a chain. So it said that an ion was missing. So that's why in the story of all the elements, the rainbow bridge was broken, because there's a link that was missing. And that's what we are doing by calibrating in our minds each chemical element, trying to find where is the missing ion. I wonder where he is.
I wonder.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for that explanation. And I think that's going to be so helpful for everyone on this path of alchemia because, you know, we just go into it, we read the blogs, or maybe some of you are only reading one of them. Now you know there's two. We know there's the frequencies on YouTube, and I think it's important to also understand the why. So, yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Looks like perfect timing. We're just crossing into Cairo.
Are we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cairo.
Perfect.
Perfect. Hey. Well,
See you
in the next time.
Signal completed, but the frequency remains. Somewhere in what you just heard, a thread was pulled, a pattern shifted, the matrix of your reality flickered just for a moment and showed you what lies beneath. A symbol you've seen 1,000 times suddenly revealed its true meaning. A myth you thought you knew showed you its hidden face. That's not coincidence. That's recognition. Your consciousness remembering what it came here to remember. The weaver's work continues. Your threads keep weaving until our paths cross again in the great web. Keep your channels open. Keep wondering. Keep watching for the signs that are meant for you, because the game is always playing. Are you playing it? I wonder.